Pack your bags, we're headed on a big old ride. With dreams of sunlit shores and the open skies. From the hills of Cyprus to where the world collides.
So, Budapest. It's becoming quite the hotspot, but I bet you are interested in going beyond the typical tourist traps.
You know it. Give me those hidden gems. I'm ready for something different.
All right, well, we're taking a deep dive into this couple's blog. Rob and Mandy, they're constantly jet-setting, and they just got back from, you guessed it, Budapest.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
They documented their whole trip, and it seems like they have a knack for finding those unique experiences, those places that aren't in every guidebook. Their plane lands on a Thursday, and they describe the landing as a controlled crash.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I guess not every travel moment is glamorous, right?
Sometimes those less than perfect moments make the best stories, though, you know?
So true. But thankfully, they had scratch cards to keep them entertained on the flight.
A little in-flight distraction.
Exactly. Okay, so first stop in Budapest, the Jewish Quarter.
A must-see in Budapest, for sure.
They were really interested in the history. Of course, they mention visiting Doheny Street Synagogue, the Holocaust Memorial.
Powerful places.
And then they stumbled upon these places called ruin bars.
Ruin bars. I've heard of those. Aren't they those bars that are in, like, these old kind of dilapidated buildings?
Yes. I didn't know about them before reading this blog, but it sounds like after World War II, a lot of buildings in Budapest were just left abandoned. And over time, people started transforming them into these really unique bars.
It's like adaptive reuse, but for nightlife.
Exactly. It sounds like they loved that blend of history and modern-day fun.
I can see why they would be drawn to that. It's like stepping back in time, but with cocktails.
Okay, but no trip to Budapest would be complete without diving into the food scene.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
What did they discover?
Well, they found this place, Caravan Food Street. It's basically a foodie's paradise, from what I gather.
A street dedicated to food. Sounds like my kind of place.
Right. But they ended their first day with a classic, Hungarian goulash.
Ah, classic for a reason. It's like a warm hug on a plate.
Exactly. They went to Clausal restaurant to try it out.
Sounds like a delicious way to end their first day.
Now, day 2, they woke up ready to tackle more of the city, and they started with a visit to the Hungarian Parliament building.
It's iconic. Did they manage to get any good photos?
Tons, it sounds like. But it wasn't just the building that impressed them. They were really taken by the surroundings as well. The grounds, the statues, the way everything was so well maintained. It just added to the experience, you know?
It's all about those details.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the difference between looking at a picture of a painting and seeing it in person.
Exactly. But then, from that grandeur, they decided to visit a very different kind of landmark, the shoes on the Danube.
Oh, wow. That's a powerful one.
It is. Have you ever been?
I haven't personally, but I've seen pictures. It's those rows and rows of shoes, right?
Yeah.
All different kinds, representing the victims of the Nazi regime who were forced to remove their shoes before being shot into the river.
It's incredibly moving. Okay, but you know how we were saying Budapest is a city of contrasts?
Definitely.
Well, from that very somber, reflective experience, they then headed straight to the Great Market Hall.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The energy, the colors, the smells. I can only imagine. What did they think of it?
They loved it. They said it was this massive building, 3 stories high, packed with vendors, selling everything you could imagine.
Did they buy anything?
I don't think they mentioned buying anything specific. They were more taken by the atmosphere and the architecture. They even had lunch at the market goulash again.
They really embraced the local cuisine.
They did. Okay, next up on their itinerary was crossing the Liberty Bridge. Have you ever seen pictures?
I have. Isn't that the
Yeah.
bridge with those beautiful turquoise towers?
Yes. The ones that light up at night, they look incredible in pictures.
did.
But what Rob and Mandy found interesting is that it's not just for cars. They described it as this symphony of transportation with trams, people walking, cars, everyone sharing this one architectural gem.
It's like the bridge itself is a microcosm of the city, a blend of old and new coming together.
Okay, but speaking of Buda, that was their next destination.
Ah, the Buddhist side. Time to climb some hills and soak in the views.
Exactly. They decided to take the funicular up to Buda Castle, and they said the views were incredible.
Can't beat a good funicular ride. It's like being transported back in time.
Right. But they didn't just admire the views. They spent hours exploring the castle itself. They were fascinated by all the history, the museums, the art.
Buda Castle is definitely a must-see for any history buff.
Oh, and get this. They even had beer served in champagne glasses at one of the cafes up there.
Now, that's a detail I won't forget.
Right. They really have a knack for finding those quirky little details.
Okay, but their day wasn't over yet, was it?
Oh, not even close. They stumbled upon a French street market as the day was winding down. They were drawn in by the smell of cheese and wine and ended up trying some snails and sausages, too.
It's those unexpected finds that often end up being the most memorable.
Isn't it? All right, day 3 in Budapest. Rob and Mandy kick things off with a visit to Heroes Square. Any guesses?
Heroes Square, is that the one with all the statues?
You got it. They were blown away by the sheer scale of it all. These massive statues of key figures from Hungarian history, kings, leaders, revolutionaries. The whole thing is designed to make you feel the weight of the past.
Wow, I can only imagine. So, from Heroes Square, where to next?
Well, after all that history, they were ready for something a little more laid back. They headed over to Veris Legit City Park for a coffee break.
A little oasis in the city, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly. And while they were there, they decided to try this local specialty chimney cake. Have you ever had it?
Can't say I have. What is it exactly?
Okay, so picture this. It's this pastry dough that's rolled and wrapped around a cylinder and then baked until it's crispy on the outside and soft and doughy on the inside.
Okay, that sounds kind of amazing.
They thought so too. But okay, get this, right next to the park is the Budapest Zoo.
Oh, I love a good zoo. How was it?
Honestly, they weren't that impressed.
Really? What didn't they like about it?
They didn't go into a ton of detail, but they did say that a lot of the animals seemed kind of down.
Oh, no. That's always sad to hear.
I know, it kind of puts a damper on the whole experience. But anyway, they decided to move on to something a little more uplifting. Fisherman's Bastion. Remember how much they were loving that blend of old and new on the Liberty Bridge?
Yeah, really seemed to resonate with them.
Well, I think they were hoping for something similar at Fisherman's Bastion, but they ended up feeling like it was a little too commercialized.
Oh, interesting. What makes you say that?
Well, for one, they mentioned a Starbucks and a Hilton hotel being right there. Not exactly what you picture when you think of medieval towers and ancient ramparts, right?
It is kind of a shame when those things encroach on historical sites.
Yeah.
But were the views still good, at least?
Oh, yeah. Even though they weren't crazy about the vibe, they said the church at Fisherman's Bastion was beautiful and the panoramic views of the city were still incredible. And, get this, they actually stumbled upon a wedding taking place at Matthias Church, which is right next door.
How sweet. You know, it's funny how those little unplanned moments often end up being the most memorable.
Totally. And speaking of memorable, they had lunch at Hungarian Vendeglu, which is right near Fisherman's Bastion.
Okay, I'm going to need you to tell me how to pronounce that one more time.
I know, right? Hungarian Vendeglu.
I think I almost have it. Hungarian Vendeglu.
Nailed it.
Okay, so what did they do after their delicious lunch with the impossible-to-pronounce name?
Well, as the day went on, they found themselves back on the banks of the Danube. Ever heard of Chios Budapest?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't think so. What is it?
So it's this really popular spot right on the river, and they decided to go there to try palinka.
Ah, Palinka. Now you're speaking my language.
Have you tried it?
I have. Let's just say it's an experience.
I can only imagine. But okay, to end their whirlwind day, they decided to experience Budapest by night with a river cruise along the Danube.
Oh, there's nothing quite like seeing a city all lit up at night from the water. It's magical.
They said it was breathtaking. And then, to top it all off, they had a late dinner at the Trocadero restaurant. Wine, pizza, live music. It sounds like the perfect end to a perfect day. So, day 4 of Rob and Mandy's Budapest adventure arrives.
Their last day.
I know, I'm kind of sad it's almost over. But they still managed to fit in a few more stops before heading back to Cyprus.
Well, they can't leave without seeing it all. So what's on the agenda for their final day?
Remember how they were raving about the beautiful weather they'd been having?
Yeah, sunshine every day.
Yeah.
Makes you want to pack your bags and go, right?
Right. Well, day 4 decided to throw them a little curveball. They woke up to rain.
Oh, no. Did it ruin their plans?
Not at all. They decided to embrace it.
I like their stuff.
Me too. So they hopped on the metro and headed over to St. Stephen's Basilica.
Ah, another iconic landmark.
You know it! And of course, it was even more stunning in person. They were really impressed by the facade, that grand entrance that faces the square. They said it was awe-inspiring.
Those massive, ornate churches always have that effect, don't they? It's like stepping into history.
Totally. And then, just a short walk from St. Stephen's, they found themselves in Elizabeth Park.
Okay, now we're talking contrasts again, right? From that grand basilica to a park.
You know me too well. But that's what I love about Budapest. It's a city that effortlessly blends those different vibes. So they went from the grandeur of the basilica to this whimsical park with a Ferris wheel and a beautiful fountain.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Did they ride the Ferris wheel?
You know, they didn't say, but I kind of hope they did.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's not every day you get to see a city from that perspective.
Exactly. Okay, but get this. For their last stop, they decided to go to the races.
The races.
Yeah.
Like horses.
Yep. Kingston Park, to be exact.
Wow. I wouldn't have thought of that. But what a fun, different way to experience the city.
I know, right? They said it was so exciting to soak up the atmosphere and just enjoy the energy of it all. Sadly, no big wins for Rob and Mandy.
Well, it's the experience that counts, right?
Exactly. So that wraps up day 4, and with it, their Budapest adventure.
I'm almost sad I wasn't there with them. What a whirlwind tour. It sounds like they managed to experience so much in just a few days.
They really did. But, you know, more than just the sights, I loved how they captured the spirit of Budapest, you know? Those little moments, the quirky bars, that heartwarming encounter with the wedding, that delicious chimney cake.
It's those details that make you feel like you're right there with them.
Exactly. They reminded me that sometimes the most memorable travel experiences come from those unexpected places and interactions.
It's not always about checking things off a list, is it? It's about being open to those serendipitous moments.
So true. So, as we say goodbye to Rob and Mandy and their Budapest adventures, it makes you wonder what hidden gems are waiting to be discovered right in our own backyards. Maybe it's time to embrace a little spontaneity, try something new, and see where the journey takes us.
I love that. Who knows what we might find if we just open ourselves up to the possibilities.
You like flying where we never hide.
Out on the highway, chasing the tide.